The rumor in the void of space was never truly silent. Ships passed through trade lanes every day, carrying food, metals, and data from one star system to another, and in the noise of commerce, rumors often spread faster than light. It began with a whisper among the merchants, who traveled the dangerous outer routes. A single phrase carried from station to station. "Something huge is moving out there," they said. Some swore they had seen it with their own eyes. Others claimed their scanners had picked up readings so massive that it broke the scale. One miner, returning from the asteroid belts near Orion's Reach, told the story in a shaking voice. "I saw it cover the stars." He whispered to the bar crowd. One moment the sky was clear. The next moment, nothing, only a black wall where stars should be. He lifted his drink with trembling hands, the memory fresh. At first, the story was laughed at. Aliens in bright uniforms dismissed him as drunk. Fools always saw ghosts in the dark. But the story did not fade. Instead, more stories followed. A merchant ship reported that their long-range scanners picked up a signature larger than a fleet carrier. But moving alone, it made no sense. Who would send such a massive vessel into uncharted space? Another freighter captain swore his crew heard a low vibration over comms. As if a voice was humming through the void, the whispers grew. "It's a new Empire's weapon." Some said, "No, it's a dying star breaking apart," argued others, but then 3 separate scout ships sent fragmented messages before vanishing. Their last words carried the same warning: "Brace yourselves." "It's human." That word struck harder than any weapon. Humans, the younger race of the galaxy, the stubborn ones who refused to surrender to tradition, the ones who turned barren worlds into homes and built machines that seemed impossible. They had been underestimated before, and every time, the galaxy paid the price. On the border stations, people gathered in fear. Screens replayed blurry images of a massive shadow drifting between stars. Some called it a lie, others packed their belongings and fled. Traders refused to travel the lanes, leaving entire colonies without food shipments. A galactic patrol tried to silence the rumors. Officials said the reports were false, that no human warship existed of such scale. Merely exaggerations, they claimed. Yet the fear in their eyes betrayed their words. In the taverns of the mining colonies, stories grew more wild. A drunken captain claimed he saw weapons glowing across its hull, thousands of railgun ports ready to fire. Another insisted the warship did not even move with engines. It glided like a predator in the dark, its presence alone enough to shake the soul. In the council chambers of distant empires, leaders argued, was this just fear spreading, or had humanity truly built a monster that could darken stars? No one wanted to believe, yet no one dared to dismiss it either. And still, the whispers carried on, louder with every passing day. On one lonely patrol frigate stationed in the outer rim, a young officer stared at his screen. The data spike made no sense. It was as if an entire moon had entered scanner range, but moving with speed, he blinked twice, tried to reset the system. But the reading held steady. He opened a channel to his captain. "Sir, you need to see this." His voice cracked. The captain leaned over, staring at the blip covered the scanner like a storm cloud. "That can't be real," he muttered. But it was real. The crew stood in silence as the shadow crept closer. Not firing, not broadcasting, only moving, vast and unstoppable. The patrol ship powered down its weapons, for even their strongest shots would be meaningless. No one spoke, but every heart understood the truth. This was no rumor, no story told by frightened merchants, no ghost in the dark. It was the arrival of something the galaxy was not ready to face. A human warship. The Council in denial the Galactic. Council chamber floated above the shining city world of Vayara Prime, its crystal walls glowing with a false calm. Representatives of 50 empires sat around the curved table, their voices sharp, their nerves stretched thin. For weeks, whispers of the human warship had flooded every colony, trade lane, and military outpost. But here, in the heart of the galaxy, the leaders laughed. They called it nonsense. A trick of scanners, the drunken talk of miners. A warship larger than a moon, scoffed the chancellor of the Draxus Combine, his silver robes glittering. Ridiculous. No race could build such a vessel, least of all the humans. Yet, the holoscreens told a different story. Fragments of data gathered by scouts, blurry images of a shape that swallowed starlight, reports of ships gone silent. Every fact pointed to something real, something terrifying. One counselor, a scaled being with burning amber eyes, slammed a clawed hand against the table. You fools, 3 patrol fleets have vanished. Do you think this is chance? His voice hissed through the chamber. The humans warned us before. Now they send a shadow to remind us of their strength. But most laughed. Denial was easier than fear. The council head raised his many hands, his voice polished and calm. Gentle beings, humanity does not have the resources. Their world is small, their fleets few. Yes, they have fought bravely, but they are not gods. Yet the words rang hollow. Everyone remembered the War of Eridani, when a single human fleet tore apart the armada of the mighty Caliph Empire. Everyone remembered how Earth's soldiers fought without retreat, how they built weapons out of desperation and turned battles upside down. Even as the council laughed, fear crawled under their skin. A small aide rushed into the chamber, trembling, holding a data slate. His voice shook as he spoke. Another signal. From the outer rim, scanners report an object. Size unconfirmed, but it blocks the entire sector grid. The chamber fell silent. Every eye turned to the glowing data. One by one, the counselors leaned forward, disbelief dying in their throats. The scale was beyond comprehension. It cannot be human, whispered the ambassador of the Tayari, her silver antenna quivering. No ship should be that vast. But deep down, everyone knew. The council chamber trembled not from sound, not from weapons, but from the weight of realization. The humans had done it still. Pride chained their tongues. We will not spread panic, declared the council head, his voice sharp. Seal these records, silence the scouts. If word spreads, trade will collapse. We must remain in control. Control, the lie they clung to. Even as the galaxy shook, but outside the chamber, fear was already alive. Smugglers passed the story in hushed tones. Citizens stared at the night sky as if waiting for the shadow to fall. Military officers pretended confidence, but in secret, they reinforced their bunkers. Meanwhile, in the dark halls below the council chamber, an old admiral of the Vaoran Defense Fleet muttered to his staff, I fought the humans once. I saw their fire. If they have built what the rumors say, then no fleet in this galaxy can stand against them. The young officers laughed nervously, but his eyes were grim. The council could deny the truth, but truth had a way of breaking through walls of pride, and far beyond the shining world of Veara, the shadow kept moving, silent, patient, unstoppable. The galaxy could laugh, but the humans did not care. Their warship was coming, asterisk. The first shadow falls, the colony of Varos 9 rested on the edge of a quiet star system, its skies usually filled with the glow of freighters and mining ships. Life moved slowly there. Markets buzzed with chatter. Children played under the twin suns. No one expected history to crash upon them. Then the stars went out. At first, the colonists thought it was an eclipse, a drifting asteroid blocking the view. But the darkness stretched wide, wider than anything they had ever seen, a black wall sliding across the heavens. The colony's scanners wailed. Alarms screamed through the control towers. The governor rushed to the command deck, her voice tight. Report, what is that? She demanded. But no one had an answer. The screens only showed static, broken shapes, and a shadow so massive that it bent their systems into confusion. Miners in the outer belts abandoned their rigs, staring upward. From their cockpits, their voices trembling over comes. "It's not natural. It's moving," one whispered. Another shouted, "It's alive." But deep down, they knew it was a ship, the Warship, a vessel so large it swallowed the suns behind it, its armor dark and seamless, like an endless wall of steel, edges glowing faintly with blue light that traced patterns across its hull. No empire in known history had ever built such a machine. It should not exist. The governor ordered all transports to evacuate. Shuttles roared from the surface, carrying frightened families, but even the largest freighter looked like an insect crawling away from a mountain. And yet, the warship did not fire. It did not broadcast threats. It did not move to attack. It only hovered in silence, watching, waiting. The silence was worse than any weapon. Children pressed their faces against windows, their parents pulling them back. In fear, priests in the temples began to pray, whispering to any god who would listen. On the military outpost nearby, Captain Arichin stared at the readings, his hands cold. His officers begged him to open fire, to do something. But his instincts screamed louder than their words. "Stand down," he whispered. "We can't fight this," his second officer argued. "Sir, if we do nothing, we show weakness." Arichin looked out at the shadow covering half the stars, his voice low. "Weakness is already written. This is humanity's message." The people of Varos 9 trembled under the black wall that hovered above them. Minutes felt like hours, the silence crushing. Then finally, a flicker of light appeared across the ship's surface, a glow like fire rippling along its hull, symbols etched into the steel. One farmer gasped when he recognized it. He had traded once on an old human outpost. The emblem was burned into his memory. A blue and white circle split with lines like an ancient star chart. Earth's emblem. Panic broke like a storm. Messages flooded across the galaxy. "It's true. It's human." Colonies sent warnings. Smugglers carried the tale like wildfire. Every world now knew the humans had arrived. But the question tore through every heart. Why had they come? What did they want? Why bring a warship that could darken suns? The shadow did not answer. It only waited, patient as death itself, and across the galaxy, leaders, soldiers, and civilians alike whispered the same words. If this is just one ship, what else do the humans have? Asterisk, the fear spreads word of the shadow, spread faster than any fleet, faster than any warning beacon. One colony whispered to another. Merchants carried the tale in terrified voices, and soon every world knew the truth. The human warship had come. Trade routes emptied overnight. Ships that once carried food and medicine now drifted silent at their docks. Crews refused to leave harbor. Captains tore up contracts rather than risk the black wall and the stars. Markets starved. Colonies grew restless. Whole systems trembled under hunger and fear. In the military academies of the great empires, recruits sat in silent halls, staring at projection screens that showed blurred images of the warship. No teacher spoke. No officer barked orders. Even the boldest cadets swallowed hard when they saw the size on the distant ice world of Korath. Refugees poured into bunkers, whole cities abandoned, the skies filled with prayers and cries. Families fled toward the mountains, as if stone could shield them from what was coming. In the great palaces of the powerful, leaders shouted over one another. Some demanded war, others begged for peace. Paranoia clawed through every council. If the humans had one such ship, could they have 10? Could they have 100? The galaxy's strongest fleets began to mobilize, but morale cracked before the first engines roared. Officers deserted. Soldiers whispered in their barracks. How do you fight something that can block the stars? One commander hung his own banner in shame, refusing to lead his men into certain death. On the streets of lesser colonies, rebellion broke loose. Mobs cried out that their leaders had lied, that they had hidden the truth of humanity's rise. Riots burned under neon skies, while overhead the stars flickered. as if warning that the shadow drew closer. Smugglers sold fragments of data-grainy recordings of the warship drifting through space. Each recording sold for fortunes. Each one spread panic further. And yet each one was always the same. The vessel never attacked, never spoke. It simply waited, a predator circling prey. One rumor claimed that the ship was not alone, that scouts had seen other shadows in the distance. Faint outlines moving with it, larger still. If that was true, then the galaxy was already doomed at the edge of the neutral zone. Admiral Serac of the Pharaon Guard sat in his war chamber, staring at the reports, his voice dry. I fought humans. Once we underestimated them. We thought they were weak. He whispered to his captains. If they bring this shadow now, they are not warning us. They are preparing us for surrender. But still, some refused to believe. In the chambers of the Galactic Council, leaders insisted it was a bluff, that the humans had built only one vessel to frighten them. It is a trick of scale, a trick of fear, they argued. If we unite our fleets, we will crush it. And so, orders were given. Fleets began to gather. Banners from across the galaxy flew toward one point. Hundreds of ships, thousands, forming what they believed would be the greatest wall ever raised against humanity. But fear gnawed at every soldier. Whispers spread through the crews. Men and women stared at the void and wondered, what if it isn't a bluff? What if this ship is only the beginning? Back on Varos 9, the colony that had first seen the shadow, the people still hid underground. They did not cheer the gathering fleets. They did not believe in council promises. They remembered the silence of that black wall above their skies. And they knew, when it chose to move, nothing could stop it. And in the endless void, the warship drifted still, silent, patient, and watching. The galaxy burned with fear, but the humans had not yet spoken. Asterisk. Message from Earth. For days the warship drifted in silence, a mountain of steel in the void, watching but never striking, waiting but never moving. Its presence alone tore the galaxy into chaos. Then, without warning, the silence broke. Every comes. Relay across 3 sectors lit up at once. Every frequency cracked with the same signal. No matter the empire, no matter the system, the same voice thundered into existence. It was human. The sound was deep and calm. Not a scream, not a roar, but the quiet certainty of a predator that did not need to raise its tone. This is Earth, the voice said, echoing through 1,000 worlds. Do not mistake our silence for weakness. On colony worlds, people dropped to their knees. In war chambers, generals froze, their lips trembling. In council halls, leaders clutched their robes as if fabric could shield them from the truth. Voice continued, each word measured like the hammer of fate. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to destroy. But if you force our hand, if you raise your fleets against us, you will not see victory. You will only see fire. The message played again and again. Across every channel, in every language, ships paused mid-flight. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Even children felt the weight of the words, on Vera Prime. The Galactic Council gathered in panic, their arguments once loud and proud, now cracked and weak. One senator screamed, they threaten us openly. They spit on our laws. Another muttered with fear, if this is their warning, what happens if they truly grow angry? Some called for surrender. Others demanded war. But no one dared deny the truth anymore. The warship was human. Meanwhile, in the barracks of alien fleets gathering at the border, soldiers huddled around radios, listening to the human voice. The words sank deep into their hearts. We are not here to conquer. Unless you force us, they repeated again and again. Commanders shouted at them to stay ready, but the fire in their eyes was gone. On Varos 9, where the shadow first appeared, the people listened in silence, and for the first time since the warship arrived, the governor spoke, her words quiet. They do not want war, but they will bring it if we choose foolishly. But pride is a sharp blade, and pride ruled many empires in the cold fortress world of Jorvac. The High Marshal slammed his fist against his throne. One ship cannot make us kneel. They bluff. With words, they scare us with shadows. I will tear their vessel apart and hang its hull above my world. He declared, his generals roaring in agreement, and so fleets began to move. Thousands of ships gathering, their engines burning bright, banners waving as if courage could drown fear. They marched not only to fight humans, but to protect their pride. Across the galaxy, civilians whispered prayers. Soldiers whispered doubts. Leaders whispered lies. But one truth could not be silenced. Humanity had spoken. The warship's final message rang out once more, heavy as the void itself. Brace yourselves, the voice warned, for if you force us to act, the stars themselves will burn. And then the signal cut. Silence returned. But now the silence was worse than before, because everyone knew the humans had given their warning, and the galaxy had chosen to ignore it. Asterisk fire across the stars. The fleets came from every empire, from every proud world. They gathered, a wall of ships stretching across the void. Thousands of cruisers, dreadnoughts, and carriers locked into formation. Their lights flickered like a false constellation, a sea of fire meant to cage the human. Shadow. Admirals shouted across comms, their voices fierce. Stand tall. Humanity is bluffing. Today we prove it. Crews cheered half-heartedly. But in their hearts, fear gnawed deeper than duty. At the center of it all drifted the warship, silent, unmoving, its black hull swallowing the starlight. No banners, no allies, only one ship against the galaxy. The first shot came from the Jorvac. Empire, a storm of plasma torpedoes hurled across the stars. They lit up space like meteors, blazing with fire. Entire fleets roared in triumph as the sky exploded. But when the light cleared, the warship was still there, untouched, its hull gleaming with faint blue lines, as if the fire had never touched it. A silence spread through the armadas, but pride forced another volley, this time rail cannons and energy beams. Enough power to crack a planet. The void shook with fury. Weapons tearing space apart, and then the warship moved, not with haste, not with panic, but with slow, deliberate power. Its weapons woke like sleeping gods. 1,000 railgun ports glowed along its flanks, and with one command, the void screamed. Bolts of metal faster than light tore through cruisers, splitting them in half. Beams of white fire lanced across fleets, carving dreadnoughts into burning wrecks. A carrier exploded in silence, its fragments scattering like sparks. In minutes, entire squadrons were gone. Admirals screamed for formations, but their voices were drowned by the cries of dying ships. The warship advanced, each movement slow, unstoppable, like a mountain crushing waves. One alien captain sobbed over comms. It's not fighting us. It's erasing us. His ship vanished a heartbeat later. Fleets broke. Soldiers begged their commanders to retreat, but pride still chained some. They charged again. Thousands of ships burning their engines. But against the warship they were nothing. Insects hurling themselves into fire. The warship's voice finally echoed across the carnage, calm and merciless. We warned you. Its cannons fired once more, and an entire empire's fleet simply ceased to exist. 1 billion tons of metal reduced to glowing dust. The survivors fled, scattering like frightened prey, banners torn down, pride broken, the void filled only with wreckage and silence. From distant colonies, civilians watched the battle through intercepted feeds. They saw their proud empires fall. In hours, they saw humanity's wrath unleashed. Children wept, priests fell silent. Leaders buried their faces in their hands, and still, the warship drifted forward, weapons cooling, its hull glowing faintly with Earth's emblem. It had not chased the survivors. It had not hunted the fleeing ships. It only cleared the path. Ahead, because this was never a battle, it was a message written in fire. The galaxy now understood humans did not bluff, and as the wreckage of thousands of ships floated in the void, one truth burned brighter than all. This was only one warship asterisk. The galaxy trembles. The battlefield drifted in silence. Wreckage of thousands of ships floating like broken bones across the void. Twisted metal glowed faint with dying fire. Shattered hulls spun slowly, carrying the banners of empires that once believed themselves eternal. And in the center of it all stood the human warship, untouched, its black hull gleaming under the pale light of distant suns, calm as a predator resting after the hunt. Across the galaxy, every screen, every relay, every channel lit with the same broadcast. The humans had chosen to speak again. The same calm voice returned, steady as stone. "You have seen the fire of one warship," it said. "You forced our hand, and now you understand. Earth does not fight to conquer. Earth fights to end threats before they grow." On worlds far away, people crowded in the streets. Leaders sat frozen in their thrones. Priests stopped. Mid-prayer, children clutched their parents as the voice thundered through every speaker. "This vessel you feared is not our greatest weapon," the voice continued, each word heavier than the last. "It is only the first." Gasps filled the chambers of the Galactic Council. Some fainted, some screamed, but no one dared deny it anymore. If this single warship had shattered fleets, what would happen if humanity unleashed more? Then the stars changed. Sensors across systems blinked with alarms. New signatures appeared. In the void, not one, not two, but many shadows emerging from hyperspace, each one vast, each one carrying the same emblem, Earth's circle etched in burning light. The galaxy trembled. The human voice spoke once more, softer now, but sharper than any blade. "You laughed at our silence. You mocked our warnings. But now you will remember. Humanity will not kneel. Humanity will not retreat. Brace yourselves. For the age of Earth has begun." The broadcast ended. The void returned to silence. But it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence of surrender. From the frozen tundras of Korath to the glittering towers of Veyra Prime, from mining colonies to war capitals, the truth spread like fire through dry wood. Humanity had risen, and no empire could stop them. Some leaders bowed, others plotted in whispers, but all knew one thing: the galaxy no longer belonged to them. It belonged to the race that turned shadows into weapons, and silence into fear. And above the broken fleets, the human warships drifted like gods of steel, their presence rewriting the future. The galaxy had mocked Earth. The galaxy had tested Earth. But now the galaxy would never forget Earth. Because when the first shadow fell, the universe learned the truth. Humanity had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. Asterisk.